So I've just been out for my morning run. I'm finding that it's the best time of day to go at the moment because it's a little bit cooler, and also if I don't do it now I'll definitely not do it later on. I'm also finding that running in the morning is setting me up for the day. And what is today going to be about, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. It's Q&A day. Okay, so last week you sent in loads of questions that I did not get around to answering because they came in after I'd filmed it. So I am going to make it up to you today. I'm going to try and get through most of the questions at least. And there are quite a few here, I can promise you that. So the first one comes from my friend Alec, and he's asked, spirit animal. I assume this means, what is your spirit animal, as opposed to spirit animal, yes or no? Honestly, I don't think I've ever given this much thought. Some people are really quick with the spirit animals, you know, like, oh yeah, that is my spirit animal. A seal is my spirit animal. It's definitely not a seal. You know what, let's just go with sea turtle. I have no idea why. I like sea turtles and they're quite calm, aren't they? So, sea turtle. There you go. Now here comes a series of questions from Samo, which I'm going to try and do quick fire. Are birds really dinosaurs? I don't know. What's your favourite dinosaur? The ones where in Jurassic Park there's like they eat the leaves. I used to think they were called Diplodocus. Are they called plesiosaurs? Is that what they are? Let me just quickly check that. No, it's not a plesiosaur. I'm going to type in Diplodocus. Yeah, I think it's Diplodocus. The Diplodocus is my favourite dinosaur. What is love? Love is all you need. Why is Sheffield famous for steel? Now, I'm pretty sure it's because of all the things that you find in this area. So there's limestone found in abundance here. We obviously used to mine a lot of coal here, and there's iron ore as well. So obviously those three ingredients are what are used to make steel. So there you go. But you didn't think I was going to answer that one. What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a kid? Now, believe it or not, I haven't always wanted to be a musician. It wasn't until I actually failed to get into university studying English literature that I decided to change my path. It was my friend Stan actually who said to me, why don't you write music for a living? And then here we are. And when I was younger, my mum will obviously vouch for this as well, I just wanted to be Robin Hood. I don't really know what capacity, professionally I assume. But yes, when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be Robin Hood. What made you want to become a vlogger? Now, the obvious answer to this is other vloggers. I think it's a great way of telling a story, and I've always wanted to tell my story as a musician, so here we are. What's your favourite movie quote? Now, the quote that comes to mind is the one from the end of Back to the Future 3, where they hand the note back to Doc Brown, and it's been erased. And they say, what does this mean? And he says, it means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one, both of you. It's just such a great moment in the film, it really rounds it off so nicely. And it applies to real life, doesn't it? So, other than that, I would probably say it's the one from Blues Brothers, i.e. we do both kinds of music here, country and western. Great quote. And the final question of Samo's that I'll use is this one. Why don't your socks ever match? And the short answer is because everyone asks me why my socks don't match. Honestly, it's been such a great talking point over the last few years. And here's a question from Joe, my good old friend Joe. He says, how do you write your songs down? Chord charts, fully notated, by memory, a mixture of all? Now, the short answer to that, Joe, is that I do a mixture of all of them. I do actually have notebooks with the sort of chords written down, and I tend to write them in Roman numerals so that I can move them into other keys quite easily. If I've just got an idea going around in my head, I'll just write it down in my notes and I'll just write it in shorthand. But sometimes if I want someone else to play it, I will actually notate it. But for the most part, it is a real mixture. There are definitely some songs that I've got that are like notation for one section and then chords and lyrics for another, just because I know that certain types of notation will work for certain things. Okay, so I've got some questions from Ross. Hello, Ross. Do crabs think fish can fly? I mean, I don't really know, but I'm going to go with yes. I'm not the authority on this, I am just a musician. So I've got a question from one of my favourite YouTubers, a guy by the name of Corpulent Father, and he has a fantastic channel, I'll link it above. And he has asked me, how many different instruments can you play? And it depends really what you mean, because piano, guitar, those are my main two. I can play a little bit of bass, and I can play a little bit of drums, but really, it kind of ends there. I can get sounds out of other instruments, but that doesn't really mean that I can play them. I tried to play the clarinet, that did not go well, and I've also tried to play the cornet, and I have got a cornet upstairs, but it's just not happening. As a general rule, if someone handed me a ukulele or a mandolin, I might be able to get a tune out of it, but really, I tend to stick to guitar and piano, and a little bit of bass. A question from my friend Matthias, hello. The question is, how did you first start in music? Now, it's a good question because it was my parents who were told when I was younger, because they were doing a lot of amateur dramatic stuff, that I had perfect pitch. So they advised that I had piano lessons, and I started doing that. And I had lessons between the age of 6.5 and 16. And that was really where it started for me. And the interesting thing about it is that even though I was told I had perfect pitch at a young age, I didn't know what perfect pitch was until I was 19. So most of the time when people get told they have perfect pitch, they get the time to develop it. So I've actually had to spend the last sort of 6 or so years developing that skill, because I've always known which notes are which and I can hear it in my head, but I didn't know that that was called perfect pitch. So it's quite weird to develop that relationship between that and what I play on the piano and what I play on the guitar. But yes, my musical life actually started when my parents were doing musicals. Which is probably why I'm so fond of musicals, actually, come to think of it. And the other question I've got from Matthias is, do you have a favourite piece of classical music? Now, the one that I always come back to, and I think it's a really normalising piece of music, it's like musical therapy in a way, is Nimrod from the Enigma Variations. I know it's a bit of a poppy answer, I know it's a very popular piece of classical music, but there have been several points in my life where I've just put some headphones on and listened to that, and it's just made me feel fine again, you know. It's normalising, that's what I mean by that. And I genuinely don't know what it is about that piece of music, but it's so magical to me, and it's almost got restorative powers to it. Also, as a general rule, anything by Mozart. So there you go. And to draw this Q&A to a close, I have a fantastic question from Jono. It's quite hard to say. Are aardvarks using the letter A too much? And the answer, of course, is no. They deserve it. I wonder if aardvarks are doing that just so they can be top of the listings in the phone book. In fact, that's it. That's what my spirit animal is. I'm an aardvark. Hello, me again. Just realised that in all the aardvark excitement, I forgot to thank everyone for sending in their questions. And of course, if you want to submit a question for next time, just drop one in the comments below, or you can find me on social media, which should be coming up at the bottom now. But in the meantime, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you tomorrow.